Hi folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. I have to tell you one more story because I think it indicates, it gives you a better sort of sense of who I am, why I do these shows, and what I think might be important for you to know. So I told you about my buddy Rust, who found this stream in the Adirondacks that had brook trout, and it piqued my interest. And he said to me, you don't need to float down it. You could probably walk along the bank and get to some of these spots that hold the trout. So I kept thinking about it. Gosh, I would love to catch up a big brook trout. So I traveled to this spot, and it was a good long distance drive to get there. And I knew I was at the right place, but I looked at the shoreline and I'm thinking, how can I possibly walk this? It looked almost impenetrable, and it right along the shore. And I had my hip boots on so that I could at least get off the bank and try to navigate this in some way. I didn't plan on walking deeply into it, but in seeing it, it was hard to tell how deep it was. And the water almost flowed into the woods around it, where I wasn't sure that I would have any kind of safe footing as I tried to walk through, let alone the alders and the thickness of the brush. It was almost impenetrable. So I tried, and I caught some great big chubs. I'm talking fish that you wouldn't think a chub would get this big, but we're talking 2, maybe up to 3 pounds. And they had little horns on top of their head. They reminded me of, as a kid, these fish we'd catch called horned-days, but they were only a fraction the size. But no trout. And I'm thinking, this is almost dangerous to try to walk through this stuff. I could break an ankle. I could do anything, stepping into holes that you can't see because they're covered. So I get back to the car, and I'm putting everything away, and I'm trying to make sure I didn't leave anything along the bank. And all of a sudden, now keep in mind, I'm over in the Adirondacks, where it's far more remote. And all of a sudden, I hear this voice. I didn't even, it startled me. It says, "How you doing?" or something. I didn't think there was a soul within miles. And I thought, at first my reaction was, it must be a bear come up to see what I'm doing. I look, and there's a state cop parked right there on the other side of the road from me. And he saw me. I literally jumped a foot in the air. I about had a heart attack. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to startle you." And he wondered how I was doing. And I walked over, I got on the other side, and I said, "Could you roll down this other window?" Me telling a cop what to do of all the crazy things. So he pushes his button, and the passenger window comes down so I could talk safely rather than standing in the road. We started talking about the area. He said that he had fished there before. And again, he said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you." And I went into how the very thing I just told you, I thought it was a bear. I obviously almost had a heart attack. And then he said, "I should have put the siren on. Then that would have really done it. That would have ended your days." And we laughed. He went on his way. But I thought, what a thing. What an absolute experience that I could never imagine. And yet fishing had brought me to an area that almost beat me because it was one of the most treacherous type of walking that I'd ever done in years. And then to have it, I guess to have the high point of the whole thing being a state cop just about scaring me to death. Not in the way we would think they would, but fishing brings out some very strange things. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.